for setting up. Yep, I can see and hear you. I think I need to turn the... Okay, it's not... I'm not picking up any audio to the video from you. Oh yeah, this is a whole lot of fun. Oh, okay, let's try that. Okay, that might work. Maybe?
Turn off my phone. I want to turn on my phone.
There we go. Still kind of quiet though.
I'm trying to figure out how to get my earpods to work. They worked the last time, and I can't figure out how to connect them this time. Doesn't seem to want to do it.
Yep, and my video is all kinds of wonky at the moment. It's zoomed out because it's in 4K mode for the other stream, but I can't figure out how to change it.
Well,
That's what happens when you settle on cheap webcams.
yeah.
Good times. Anywho.
Can you hear me now if I try to connect this, or is it still not working?
I can hear you.
It's not going through my earpods, I don't think. That's something.
I don't know. How's it sound for Sam? She's watching at the moment.
Yeah, it sounds okay. I just don't know if I'm too light or not.
Oh, I love puppies.
No, not really. I'm a cat person.
Okay, anywho. It is Monday night, and we're on again. Trying, anyway. All kinds of technical difficulties, but we're here. We're live. And Laura Thompson has joined us again. She's had a book come out last Saturday.
Just this Saturday, so
yeah,
a couple days ago.
Yeah, this last Saturday. And it's part of your Freaking Unique series, right?
Right. Yeah, so the last time I was on, we talked a lot about my fantasy series, which is really what I'm sort of known for, I guess. If I'm known for anything, it would be those, because that's primarily what I write. But this series is not fantasy. It's YA coming of age drama, as I like to call it. And it's totally different. It's really different. So the Elven Quest and the Witches ones are written in third person, and they're long and epic, fantasies.
Yeah.
These are written in first person because they're sort of more like, my thought about it was that they were more like a diary, sort of, or a journal of memories that these kids kind of go through. And so each one is told. I can show you this is the first one, and these are pre-print copies because they're so new that I don't even have the brand new ones that just came out yet. So this is the first one, and this is the brand new one that came out a couple days ago.
Right.
And so that starts with Amity, and hers came out. I had released hers a long time ago, re-released it recently because I just pulled it back and decided to kind of edit it again and kind of redo a little bit of the story and change the cover, and then re-released it. and then the second one came out, like you said, a couple days ago. But the Amity one is actually it's me. It's really me. So her story is that she is in middle school. She's a shy, girl, just seems like a normal girl, wants to be a normal girl, fade into the background kind of thing. And she, on Christmas morning, has this epileptic seizure and ends up in the hospital and spends Christmas in the hospital. And then they don't know if it was a random one-off thing or if it's something that's, like a condition of some kind.
Yeah.
So they wait it out, and then about a week later, she has another one, and then she goes back to the hospital, and then they do a bunch of tests and an EEG, and they tell her she has epilepsy, so that she has to go on medication. That is all true story. That is my true story. 12 years old, Christmas morning, I had a seizure in my mother's bed, sitting next to her, opening my stocking, and then changed my life completely from then on. So, so some of the story is, changed, like names are changed to protect the innocent, and like some stuff's imagined and created, but a huge portion of it is real life, and it's my life. And some of it was stuff that, like, it didn't happen until I was an adult, but I put it all into her happening to her in middle school, so that it was all kind of condensed into a few years. So that's her story, and it came out first person because, it was my story, so it was like me writing a journal. And then once I started first person, I felt like I couldn't change it for the rest of the series, so then they all were first person. But I think it works because, they're each written from a different character's perspective or point of view of stuff that they're struggling with. So Amity's is, of course, the epilepsy, where she feels like, totally unlike all her friends. Nobody else that she knows has to take medication or go to bed early or can't go into a dance because they're playing strobe lights and that could cause a seizure, and, all of that stuff that goes along with it. She feels like people fear her, don't want her around. Definitely went through all that. So then Hattie's story, which is the second one, is Amity's best friend, and she's a dancer. What she loves more than anything else in the world is dancing. It makes her feel free and happy, and that's her happy place. But she's a large girl, and she takes after her dad's genes, and he's a large, burly motorcycle dude, and she's a larger, big-boned girl. And so then she feels this pressure to be like all the other little skinny, or thin, I shouldn't say skinny, but the thin dancers, that are her age. And they're all seem like they have these perfect dancer bodies and are, normal dancers. And she feels abnormally, not welcomed or included in that world. And it makes it worse when her dance teacher says to her, "Gee, you're having trouble breathing. You should go, think about going on a diet." And, like, that actually happened to a friend of mine. So her story is very much kind of a combo of a few different friends that I've had over the years. And then some, obviously imagined stuff too. But that was a true story that a friend of mine told me, that when she was young, she was in a dance class and she was a little bigger than the rest of the girls, and the teacher pulled her aside and said to her, maybe you should think about going on a diet, because, you could probably eat better. You probably, like you should probably slim down so that you fit in with the rest of the girls. And especially if you want to be a dancer, which this girl did. And it's pretty heartbreaking. I mean, that causes massive emotional and mental damage, especially to girls who, take everything so super, super sensitively and seriously. And we are massively, I don't know if guys are like this, and maybe you can tell me, but are guys have horrible inner critics like girls do? I feel like girls are just real mean to themselves.
I might be the wrong person to ask. I am the mean inner critic.
Do you? Yeah.
So, I
mean,
I'm blunt.
Yeah.
No, well, we all have our inner monologues. I get frustrated with myself a lot, and I talk a lot of trash to myself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
probably not to the
So maybe
extent
it's
of a
just
lot of women, but
universal. I don't. Yeah, it could just be a universal thing. I don't know, um, but I know for me and for many other women, it's especially body image issues is huge. And so, and it starts really young when girls are little girls that they start worrying about, how they look and how other girls look and whether or not they're fitting in. I was just listening to a podcast the other day about how social media just makes that so much worse for
no,
kids,
yeah,
but especially for girls. They've done studies about how, like, if they're getting negative feedback from their followers and stuff, even if like stupid people that they they're not trying to impress them or whatever, they're just random people that come across their
yeah,
page. If they see something and they make some negative comments, the effect for teenage girls, they've done studies that show it's like mentally it affects them much worse internally than it does the boys who they end up being more aggressive. They end up trying to fight back, you know, cause fights online versus the girls that just take it all internal and
mm.
then beat themselves up over it.
Yeah, I can see that.
And there's actually more suicide because, like, for girls that have dealt with online bullying than the boys, which is just awful. So the whole point of this series that I really hope this message reaches the kids and that the kids find these books and get them. The whole purpose is to say, we all have these different things that we're struggling with, even as kids, and they're big, they're big things. They're big important things. They're stuff that, like, most adults try to, that they adults struggle with. If you're a kid and struggling with it, and you're feeling like you're completely different than everybody else, and you're, like I said, a freak.
Yeah,
If you feel that way, you feel like an outsider, then it's extremely lonely, right? And you just want to feel seen and heard and understood.
mm.
So that's my hope for this series. And each one is a child that's struggling with something else, but they all tie together. They all realize that they have stuff in common, that they're not alone, and they learn to either, like, work with whatever it is that they're dealing with, or accept it, or be able to, move past it, or whatever the situation. So book 3 deals with suicide. And that one will be coming out probably May at this point,
Yeah.
maybe June. We My editing company just signed on a bunch of clients, so I'm putting all my stuff aside, and
Yeah,
their stuff goes first.
yeah,
But
I know how that
I'm hoping
goes.
that that'll be, yeah. And that one's from a young man's perspective. So his name is Guy, and his story is that his older brother Sam committed suicide when he was 5, and he saw. So it triggered, like, a reaction where he has a stutter now. Whenever he tries to express himself and talk, the words come out all jumbled, and it started right after that from trauma, and it never seemed to get better. But when he sings and when he plays music, which is something his brother taught him to do, he's able to sing and play music with no stutter at all. And so he feels like it's because his brother must be with him at that time. And so it's his story about mental health, struggling with, his mom struggles with bipolar depression. She tries to commit suicide in the book, and then they're all dealing with the grief of his brother. So it's heavy, but it's my favorite, honestly, of the 4 that I've written so far, because I think, number one, I just love writing
Yeah,
from a boy's point of view. I love boy characters. I don't know why, but male characters too. I just love them. Uh, so it's heavy, but I love his, like, perseverance and his like sweetheart and stuff. He's just a really cool kid, and his story was more imagined than either of these girls.
Yeah.
Like I know people that have had suicide in their family and stuff, but never been super close with anybody that happened to. Just like saw people in my town and stuff that it happened to, but it was much more imagined. But I love him. I love his story, so I'll be excited to share that one.
Unfortunately, I've had to go through it twice in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, geez, the past 4 years, geez. Wow. Well, I'm sorry.
I haven't had a great run of things since 2019.
Yeah.
But so, how far are you going to go with the series? How many do you have planned?
I actually, I don't know. I mean, I really have thoughts of all kinds of stuff that I could write about in really different directions that I could go in. Have one started or two started that I kind of put aside and was doing other stuff, so I didn't get a chance to finish them. But the newest one that I just started is about my brother-in-law, who, and it'll be definitely more of a true story. He's in the hospital right now. We don't know if he's gonna make it, but he's an incredible dude. So he was born with spinal bifida and what's called Chiari 3, which is a condition where your brain is kind of like too far back on your brain stem, and it puts pressure on the nerve endings. So he had to have like 12 surgeries when he was an infant to even be able to survive and come out of the hospital. They didn't think he would. He did. And then they said, well, don't expect him to live past 5 years old. He lived past 5 years old. They said, well, don't expect him to live past, his teenage years. He's 39 now. So he has surpassed everything that they expected of him. And he's just an incredible guy. I mean, he went to college. He had a job for a while. He was mobile. Eventually, because it's a degenerative thing, he's lost abilities over time, slowly. So when I first met him, he walked with crutches, and then eventually it was in a manual wheelchair, and then he lost the ability to use his arms and stuff, though, like at least one. So then he had to be in an electric wheelchair. He had to get a feeding tube at one point, so he lost the ability to eat. He lost the ability to breathe on his own, so they had to put a tracheotomy. He has a trach, and he's had to be on bed rest and stuff. So it's slowly gotten worse over time. But even with all of that, he has like the best attitude of anybody I've ever known in my life. Like, he just lives to make people smile and laugh as his whole goal in life. So when I first married my husband, we moved to Massachusetts, where they lived, and my husband had to go out to sea. He was in the Coast Guard. And my brother-in-law, and I moved in with my in-laws, my mother and father-in-law and my brother-in-law. And I was in this, strange new state, no friends, no job, nothing going on with these in-laws that I was like basically strangers at that point. And he was my first friend. We hung out all the time together and went to movies and watched the same shows and went shopping, and like, he just, his whole attitude was always say whatever he could say and act silly and make me laugh and make me, forget about being lonely and forget about being awkward living in a house with people that I barely knew. So he's just awesome. And so I've been saying for years that I'm going to write his story, and then I just slacked and never did.
Yeah.
So we saw him in the hospital this past weekend, and I said to him, I'm finally doing it, Dave. I'm going to write your story. You're going to be the next character in this series, so that hopefully, other kids like you will find some comfort in your story. And told him I was going to use his real name. I make up everybody else's names, but for him, I'm going to use his real name. So.
That's cool.
Because he deserves it.
Awesome. Ooh, excuse me. Let me. So if anybody's watching, if you're interested, I did, while she was talking, I tried to be as sly as I possibly could, but you probably heard me typing. I copied the link from Amazon and put it in the description below because I completely forgot. I spaced it because I knew it was coming out on Saturday. I'm like, okay, I got to remember. I got to grab the link and throw it in the description. And I forgot. It's there now.
No problem.
So if you refresh, you'll see the link to her book. So, and you've got 2 out at the moment, and you're working on.
Yep.
So what one was the third again? The suicide one, or is it Dave's story?
Yeah, so that's Guy Pendleton's story, and that'll be coming out probably, I don't know, if I can get it done by May, it'll be May, otherwise June.
And then you're gonna work on Dave's right after that?
Yeah, so I actually have a 4th one already finished, so I'll do Feathers next, and then Dave's will be 5th because I gotta write his, and his is gonna be emotional to write, so it'll probably take me a while. But yeah, and so Feather's story, hers is about hers is a little bit unique. It's about a girl, and again, based on some people that I know, a little bit, loosely based. But
Yeah.
she's from a very like tight religious family. That's like it's just a made up. I didn't pick a real religion, but it was basically like a real strict religion that doesn't let them like wear certain clothes. They're not allowed to cut their hair.
Can't dance in the street.
Yeah, like she's very
Footloose.
she has to wear very plain things, and she's not allowed to do a lot of the stuff that like teenagers would do. And because they believe in like typical what regular religions would believe in, the one God, one God Almighty, and in heaven and hell and stuff. But she can see ghosts, so that's her hidden, like shameful thing that she's living with and dealing with, that she can see and communicate with spirits. And she's like, well, how could this possibly be the case if my family knew? They'd think I was possessed, or that there was something shameful about me, that how can there be ghosts if people go to heaven or hell? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So she's struggling with, well, why are we here? What does my religion say versus what I'm experiencing, and how does that make me, and why am I experiencing it? And again, based on truth, like I have friends that had that experience growing up, that they, not necessarily the religion thing, but one of my best friends, a few years back before I moved, that I lived in Massachusetts, and before I moved, she and I were real tight friends, and she told me, growing up, when she was about 6 or 7, she looked over and was talking to her mom late at night and said, oh, described a woman sitting in a rocking chair. It was her great aunt that she'd never met. And her mother was like, luckily she had a really supportive mother, but her mother was pretty freaked out and was like, what are you talking about? There's ghosts. She said, do you see these people all the time? And it turned out that she did. And so she has this ability to be able to see and communicate with spirits. And she did mediumship for a while, and then that's a real tough business. I don't know if you know anything about that, but man, talk about haters.
Oh yeah, I bet.
She got massive amounts of hate from people, and just really struggled. So she doesn't do that part of it anymore. She does like spiritual coaching kind of stuff, and she does a podcast about it. But she got out of the doing like individual readings for people, just because it's real tough to do. But so I kind of took her story, changed it a little, created some fantasy kind of things with it, use my imagination on it, but it's basically about that they are feeling confused as to why, she's feeling confused as to why she would have this ability, if not for like evil. Like, is she evil? She doesn't know,
Yeah.
So her story will be coming out 4th.
Well, cool. I actually have a medium pen pal. Is it a pen pal if it's on email?
Yeah.
Digipal.
Yeah. Nobody writes anymore. Come on.
Yeah. I do. I can write in cursive.
Dude. I I can't write in cursive anymore. I used to be able to write in cursive, and then one day I can remember, like, I went to write a note or something for my work in school, and I was like, looked like an old lady, handwriting, and I thought, oh, Lord, this is terrible. I'm like, lost all ability that I had to be able to do it.
It's like whenever I autograph a book, first thing I say when I hand it to him is, I hope he can read that.
Yeah.
So it looks like a drunken doctor. Diana says, I think women are more sensitive. I think that was a comment from earlier when we were talking about women and girls, especially teenagers, being affected by social media. Sam says that is so sweet. I think that was in reference to writing the book of your for your brother-in-law.
My brother-in-law. Yeah, thanks.
Linda Ray and Trevor are here. Hello, how's it going? And yeah. I know Sam said that she had a couple questions she wanted to ask you, but she wasn't sure if she was going to make it. Obviously, she did. So if you want to ask, but you never sent them to me. She was supposed to, and she didn't. So right away.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
And Sam is a huge player in my guy book, by the way. I have a male Sam and a female Sam that play big parts in that book.
I don't think I have any Sams.
I love that name.
I don't think I have any Sams in any of my books. I've got a Charlie.
Charlie's a good one.
Yeah, I can't think of a single Sam. Anyway.
Yeah, I've always loved the name Samantha and Sam for a boy too. I don't know why, but I mean, ever since I was a kid, I've loved that name. So they pop up in a lot of my books. I've noticed. Kind of a recurring theme.
For me, I grew up with Sam Malone, so cheers.
Oh yeah.
I feel so old.
No, I mean, I'm not that far behind you, so I definitely, I grew up with Cheers too. I think I was a little young. I didn't watch it, too much, but
yeah,
I definitely remember it for sure.
Yep,
everybody knows your name. Have you gone to Cheers in Boston?
No, I haven't.
Is
it?
Tourist trap.
Yeah. I always wanted to go to the Promenade that was in Las Vegas when Deep Space Nine was a big thing in the 90s. And my dad got to go. It was a Star Trek thing. And he brought back some Romulan ale. It was like some kind of blue liquor. It's like, it's so cool.
Nice. That's awesome. Love it.
Okay, so Sam writes, slow. As an avid Amazon Unlimited reader, I want to know how that affects writers that I love. So like with Amazon Unlimited, I know that I don't use Kindle Unlimited because it you're pretty much locked into Amazon. You can't sell your book anywhere else is when you're under KU. How much of an impact has that made for you?
So I don't know if I didn't understand it or if I just didn't pay attention or care, but I had originally signed up all my books for KU and whatever they recommend. Basically, when you go into Amazon, they'll say, oh, if you sign up for this, it gives you these great benefits of people can read it for free or whatever. You get more downloads supposedly. I had them on there for years, and I felt like I got nowhere with it. I felt like I was not getting, like, supposedly I'd get downloads, but then like there'd be no reviews to go with them. So there's no guarantee that people can even review it. There's no guarantee that you'll even get any sort of benefit from it. They can actually return it within a period of time, and it's not like you get penalized, but you don't get anything from it. So like once I figured out really that for me it wasn't working the way it's supposed to, and maybe that's because I didn't advertise it very well or something, or maybe it's because my books are a different genre or whatever that don't do well with it. I think romance supposedly does really well with it, and I forget the other one. Romance was the big one. I remember seeing that and saying like, a huge percent of the KU books that are downloaded are romance books.
Yeah.
So why? I don't know. but maybe because they're quick reads and people can
So,
get through them quickly. I don't know.
do you get paid for
So I took
reads,
all
or?
mine off.
Oh, I was just wondering, curious if you get paid for reads when people read your stuff.
No, you
Yeah.
don't. And that's the thing. It's supposedly like you have to reach a very high number of reads, I think,
Yeah.
before you get any royalties. But the whole thing is that they say, but, basically it's like you're getting all these free readers, so then the odds that they'll review for you is supposed to take the place of the fact that you're not getting paid. But it doesn't. At least for me, it didn't. I got hardly any reviews, so I don't know. So it didn't work the way that they claim. Like I said, that might be user error on my part because I don't know how to market very much.
Well, that's one of
or it just might be.
Yeah.
That's what it is,
Well, that's like.
So I did take them all off though, and I'm gonna see. I think even recently I took them all off, and even now I feel like all of a sudden my sales are better than they were.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. I got derailed.
Yeah.
Oh. But anyway, yeah, the biggest reason why I wouldn't do Kindle Unlimited is because I don't like the idea of being exclusive. If Amazon wants me to be exclusive, they're going to be paying for it. So
Right.
I'd rather send my stuff
Well,
to
that's the other thing too,
Barnes
I
and
think,
Noble,
and
and
especially for like this series, I want it to be picked up by libraries.
yeah.
So I made sure to do the KDP, be able to publish it anywhere option.
Yeah. You bought your own ISBN for all that too?
No, I just do the
the free one.
Amazon give you one, yeah, because I'm cheap.
Well, there's a lot of benefits to buying your own. Like you can use that one ISBN on everything. So like right now, the free, if anybody's watching, when you get the free ISBN from Amazon, you can only use that ISBN on Amazon. You can't use it anywhere else. Luckily, most major platforms offers a free ISBN as well. So like if you want to just publish your book on Amazon and on Barnes and Noble also provides a free ISBN. So just to put that out there. Because I had some ISBN questions last week on a video. I wish I could remember what I was going to say because it was kind of relevant. I lost it. My mind is completely blank. Sorry.
No, I hear you. I'm just coming back from vacation, so I too am sort of out of it.
What was it? We were talking about KU, and you don't get. Oh, I was just going to say that one of the biggest failings, like if I don't know if anybody watches YouTube, but Reedsy has a commercial that goes around a lot. That is the reason why most authors don't make more sales is because of editing. No, they don't get more sales because of marketing. If nobody buys the book, they can't read it to say that your editing sucks. That's the first stage of selling a book is the marketing.
I agree. But I will say too, editing is important.
Oh yeah,
not just because I'm an editor, but
yeah. Oh yeah, no.
But the back blurb, get your back blurb edited, and maybe the first, however many pages where it says, do you want to read the sample for free? Those are super important because had a friend who published his book, spent a bunch of time editing it. My partner and I edited it for him. He did some of it on his own, but didn't have the back blurb edited. And then he got criticized for the back blurb. And somebody was saying, oh, you have this mistakes or whatever, or it's poorly written for whatever reason. Why would I read the rest of the book if you can't even write a decent back blurb? And I was like, man, first of all, that's harsh. Second of all, I kind of get it though. So then my partner and I talked about it, and like, maybe that's something that we should offer people. Like, hey, if you want us to add that into your editing process, we can edit the back blurb for you with this, the the same package or whatever. So we're doing that now too.
That is one of the
Because we felt bad. We were like, man, it would have helped if we had known.
See, and that is one of the hardest things, I think. Because I see people on threads and Twitter complain about blurbs all the time, and I'm like, it took me
They're
4
hard.
hours to write mine.
Yes, they're hard to write, and it's it's ridiculous, right? Like you write, long books too, so it's
Yeah,
funny when we're like, oh yeah, I can whip out a 120,000 word book, but then writing a 200 or less word
they're like
backward is like,
5 words an hour.
oh, so horrible.
Well, I had to be really
Yeah.
careful because the way that I wrote Kingmaker. Um, so it's see, I can't really say much because of it how it was written. So trying to come up with a blurb where the slightest sentence could give it away. And so that
Yeah, spoilers.
is, oh man. Yeah. I kind of shot myself in the foot with that one. I spent a lot of time making sure the whole book did exactly what I wanted it to do, and it did so far. Everybody who's read it has been blown away by the ending. That's why I did it.
Oh, that's awesome.
But trying to write that blurb was, oh, such a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
But yeah, I can see
They're
how
they're bad.
getting the blurb and the first few pages, because Amazon has that look inside feature, so you can read like the first so many pages to see if you like the book or not. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I could see that
Yeah.
being a crucial element to it.
Yeah. That and man, query letters, if you're going to be doing, querying for agents and stuff, talk about brutal to write. Those two are like, ugh,
Yeah.
nearly impossible for a
I
writer,
don't
I feel like, to write a good one.
I don't know if I'll ever write a query letter. I prefer self-publishing for the sheer fact that I'm not writing for an
Yeah.
audience of one. When you're
Yeah.
acquiring an
No,
agent
I
and a
know.
publisher, you have to impress them. I'm not writing
Yeah.
for them. I'm writing for the people who want to read my book. So that's
Right.
one
Right.
of the big reasons why I self-publish. But um,
Yeah. No, you and I are the same in that way. I did so my partner that was editing these ones, he said to me, you need to query these ones. And I'm like, Mike, say that about all of my stuff. And thank you, but you say that about all of my stuff. He's like, no, but these are really, really important. And, you need to query for them and they need to be in schools and stuff. And I'm like, well, it's super touching. But, eh, like,
yeah,
then I have to go through trying to find an agent and, do the whole, I don't know. It
uh,
gives me the
especially when
feeling. So
you
I just,
well, if you hang out with the writing community on either social media, like I know a lot of authors that prefer threads over Twitter, but I follow a lot of people on both sides. And um, I don't know, just the horror stories that people talk about trying to query. Like there was one girl who was like over 100 inside of 6 months.
mhm.
Like, nah, I'd give
Yep.
up after 5. I'll publish
No,
it
and the thing
myself.
about it is too, even so I've heard stories of like there was this one really sad one. This girl said she queried for like I don't know how many years. It was a good probably 5, 6 years. Finally got an agent.
Yeah.
They published her book, the first book in the series, and she was like, "Oh, my dreams have come true." Well, the book didn't sell well, so then the agent and the publisher dropped her, so they wouldn't do the second book.
Yeah.
And then she had to start all over. She queried for another like 2 or 3 years, got another agent, and the same thing happened the second time. And I'm like, and she's like, so now I'm out here again. This has been, 10 years or whatever now of my life. And that's such a huge time consumer. Like,
Oh
really,
yeah.
you're going to spend years trying to get your first book? I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of respect for people that can do it and do it well and then it works for them.
Hmm.
That's awesome. I just don't have the patience. There's
Yeah.
no way.
I've got
I'm
stuff to write.
so impatient. I want the book to be out there now. I
Yeah.
don't want to sit there wait for years and years.
But one of my all-time dreams was to look over at my bookshelf and see my name on the spine of a book. Now I've got two,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, exactly. It's
I've
thrilling.
completed. And a lot of people like like a lot of people will bash self-published authors and call it subpar work. And in reality, I think I have more respect for successful self-published authors because I know just how much work goes into doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not
And
like a
that's such an old, um, you know, an old way of thinking. I mean, it's been how long now since people
yeah,
have been doing self-publishing? It's come a long way,
like Create
you
Space
know?
was out in 2012.
Yeah.
That's been
Yeah.
a
I
while,
mean,
long time.
yeah, it's been a long time. That makes me feel old. But yeah,
Please.
so I was on the beginning half of it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. But it's true though, it's come a long, long way, and I think it's so from the time I've been in, so I started in 2013, I think, was when I split from that other publisher that I talked about last time and then
Yeah.
self-published. Um, and from that time now it's such a huge like com you know uh it's such a huge change in terms of attitude of it
Oh
and
yeah.
what's offered and like all the different companies that are now offering different services to help you get there that they didn't exist. That wasn't a thing. I mean, I when I did it in the beginning, I was like going through and watching the
Yeah.
little
It's because I think
how-to videos
Create
on
Space was
Amazon,
it, and
you
if you
know?
want a book cover, you had to learn Photoshop.
Right. That was it. And then, I think that there was like Inum Sparks or whatever was the second one that popped up. Inagram Sparks, whatever the heck's called.
Ingram Spark, yeah.
Ingram Spark, yeah.
Yeah.
So then they popped in there, I think second. But now, I mean, if you are to Google like, okay, I want to self-publish my book, there's probably
Oh yeah.
tons and tons of companies that do it for you, and these little tiny publishers that will do it, and it's tricky because some of those are probably sure like legit little publishers that are trying
Mm.
to help indie authors, indie publishers, right? Some of them are like a hybrid kind of a model, but some of them are scammy,
Like
scam artists. Like they're just those vanity scam publishing things, and they're so prevalent
my
now.
sister got screwed by tape
It's
publishing
crazy.
when it
Yes,
sunk.
yeah, we
So
talked about that the last time, and I feel so
yeah.
bad. And so I talked to actually, you're going to be interviewing her, in April something. It's my friend Jess. She
I
runs her
tried,
own
but she hasn't
small.
responded yet.
Oh, well, Jess, come on, I'll get on her. I thought she told me she was going to be doing it on the 22nd or
Well,
something.
she
So I
sounded excited, but I sent her a message a couple of days ago and crickets. It's
oh,
all good.
geez. All right. Well, I'll get on her for that. But she runs a little publishing company now because she had the same kind of an issue. I don't think it was Tate, but it was another one similar to that.
Mm.
And she's, did the same thing I did, where it's like, okay, I don't want other authors to go through that, so I'm gonna do my own thing,
Yeah.
and offer help to people. So there are good people out there for sure, but there's a lot of those scammy ones out there, and now it's gotten so much bigger with, like I don't know, all these rules that people think that you have to follow
Mm.
now. It's like all these expectations. So there's a lot of people that talk about, oh, you need to have like beta readers and alpha readers and ARC readers and proofreaders and then editors for different
Developmental
types of editing and
editors
then
and
critique groups, all this stuff, and I'm like, none of that was a thing when I first
it's a
started.
focus group for a book.
Yeah, like all these like weird little, oh, we're gonna do this focus group and that focus group and whatever, all these things, and I'm like, none of that was a thing.
Yeah.
So all that's brand new, and it's like people act like it's sort of cemented in stone. This is the way it is, and it's always been this way, and you need to do your self-publishing this way, or you're doing it wrong. And so I get all these. I'm on like a bunch of Facebook groups where people write in and they're like, "Well, I'm new to this, and I'm really nervous, and I don't have this. I don't have a group of ARC readers. I don't have a beta reader. I don't have an editor yet. Like, what do I do and how do I do it first? And there's all these people that'll pop on with, oh, well, you gotta go this way and this way and this way and this way and contact me and I'll do this for you. And it's like, man,
they smell
so
blood in the
big.
water.
Yeah, exactly. Sharks.
Well,
Sharks.
so far I'm going through and building a list of every tool I've used to publish a freelancer's tale and Kingmaker. That's everything from editing to graphic design. I showed everybody how I did the cover for freelancer's tale. I did in Canva with my own images, so I wasn't using. I will never use stock images when I'm doing a cover.
You're smart.
So I did everything. The fonts, all of it, were all me. But Canva's layout for ebooks is amazing and it's wicked easy to use. And so I'm trying to put together a massive list of things to use. And my most recent acquisition was AutoCrit. Now, AutoCrit uses AI to help you edit your book, but it does not write a single line of it for you. It'll show you your adverb usage, how things flow, redundancies in your words, which is awesome because I use a few words quite extensively, like usually, actually. So it'll flag all those and show you I need to cut this off. But the reason why I want to point it out is because I am not a fan of using AI generated content in any form. I'll use it to crunch data, and you can give me some ideas, but I will be the one who makes the content. And so that's one of the biggest reasons why I went ahead and gave AutoCredit a try, is because it does not write anything for you. It just analyzes your text and shows you this is what you need to clean up. It's still, once you do that though, you still want a decent editor to go over it again anyway. But
right.
if you use automated tools, a lot of them can actually shave a lot of the time off. So instead of the editor with the red pen marking up the entire sheet, you might be able to cut some of that down. So
yeah, yeah, and I think that's true. I think that's why, like, my partner created the macro that he created. It's an
oh
app,
yeah,
but it's very similar to that. Where it looks at specifically things that are meant for. It's like the problem with Grammarly, for example, is that it picks out you know based on grammar rules. Oh, this needs to be changed, whatever. But it's not looking at it from like a novelist's point of view,
yeah.
And so if you were to just use Grammarly or just use one of the other Scrimger or whatever program, it's gonna and you were to say, okay, yeah, I'll just change everything that it tells me to change.
Oh, don't never do that.
Yeah, no, it would totally kill your author voice, right? And it would make it sound. It reminds me of the episode of Friends when Joey writes the letter of recommendation for Chandler and Monica, and he's trying to sound smart, so he uses a thesaurus to like change all the words in the letter, and then it sounds ridiculous. So it's kind of, to me, that's sort of similar to what it is. Like, if you were to change to what Grammarly is telling you, it would just sound completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it does pick out some important things, right? And it's the same, like, so my partner Mike's idea for his was what you're saying, like, figure out how to have it look for the things that novelists have the biggest trouble with without harming their voice, right? So we're not changing anything. What we're doing is flagging it, and we'll say, okay, you have this many, extensive ing words, you have extensive ly words, you have extensive repeat words of this, and this. You have these words that are low power score because they don't have a lot of punch, they don't have a lot of power, they're going to ruin your sentence and make it sound weak. So words like just, like,
yeah, I use just way too much.
yeah, just, and there's words like that we all use, and especially in everyday conversation and everything. But for a novel, you really want to stay away from that stuff. So we try to, when we add, what's kind of cool is that, and he's so freaking smart, man. If I didn't have him, I'd be lost. But like, he can add stuff to it because it's a little buggy. So he can add stuff as we come across things. He'll say, oh, like, this is a new homonym that people are misusing or whatever, this homonym, this word instead of this word. So add that in, and then it'll flag that word the next time. And stuff like that. So it's cool. We recently had another talk today or yesterday about all right versus all right. So all right, AL, right.
Yeah.
Smashed together, right, versus all right, and how a lot of people kind of use them interchangeably. They're really not the same. So people use them as the same, but we were arguing back and forth about how, like online, we Googled a bunch of different articles about it, and I was like, Mike, Webster is saying that it's fine to use all right as the word because it's considered, more common and everything. And they're like, technically, yes, all right is older. It's, more widely used. It's more widely accepted. But it's also now widely accepted for things like business memos and like business books, whatever.
They should not slapping in "I" in the memo.
Yeah, yeah. That's what he's like. All right and all right are I. Like, you're ridiculous. But I said no. It's one of those things that again, it's going to be down to like author choice, and that's basically what we decided on. Like, we make the recommendation. We can put it in our thing to flag, but we make the recommendation like, hey, this is the discussion around this word. You decide, take it or leave it, whether you want to do the all right or whether you want to do all right. Technically, all right is right, but it's also considered more. It's considered more for technical writing versus novel writing or common writing. So that's why I told him, like, the girl that we were editing had all right, which is what I use most of the time. I'm like, to me, she can choose that. She's right in saying that she can use that.
Yeah.
Because it's technically not wrong. So it's just little things like that where, all these discussions of how language has changed, and it's just funny. It cracks me up. And the other thing that made me laugh and what I said to him was, Mark Twain was the one that created all right, like the one word all right. So I said, if it's good enough for Mark Twain, it's good enough for me.
It's like in Shadows of Atlantic City, my latest book. I'm trying to avoid okay, as in, are you okay?
Yes, that was another one.
Well, this is 1874. They weren't using okay for all right. So,
right.
So I'm having to go through and change my mindset of speech because some words that I use the hell out of today weren't around 150 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, that's something that too. So for me as well, like when I write, and I did the same thing. I wrote a book. Haven't published it yet, but I wrote a book that took place in 1911, and I did the same thing. I had to really research. Well, what would they have said? So there's a part in the book that takes place in a family court, and I was like, well, what the heck were the laws back then? Like, what would they have said in court? Having to do with this situation, and would this lady even have won in court for that she's trying to get rights to this little girl that she wants to adopt? But I was like, would she even have gotten that back then? I don't know. So I had to do all this research and try to figure it out, but it's interesting. But that's also an important thing for an editor, like a developmental editor, to pay attention to and hopefully be able to help you, like, hey, notice you're using this word, FYI, they wouldn't have used this word back then. But it's tough. Like, there's a lot that's changed. And actually, what I was going to say was when I started looking at the all right thing, that was okay was another word that popped up. And I said, you see it all the time. I use it, O-K-A-Y, just because I think it looks pretty. But, obviously people use okay also. Yeah. So then I started thinking, well, what is the right one? Am I using it wrong? I did a bunch of research on that, and okay spelled out is actually newer than the two letters okay, which I didn't know. I thought it was the other way around. Yeah. That one was older. It's not. So the two letters okay are really old. They were first. and then I forget who it was, but somebody stretched it out to be like the one word OKAY, which is, like I said, it's newer, but they're both technically the same.
Had to
I
be
think
an
for
American.
that, I think for that it's a matter of trying to stay consistent, though. Like, you don't want your book to have mix of both.
Yeah.
Like, it'll look stupid. So you got to make sure you are, whatever you're picking, stay consistent with it. Pick a lane and stay
there. Diana asked this question a while ago about the author that you're talking about who was having an issue with querying. The one that it didn't sell, and then she tried again and went through the same process over again. She was asking if did she ever end up self-publishing that book, or is she still querying it?
I don't know. She was a stranger that I just was talking to on Threads, and she was posting about her experience, and yeah, so I don't. She said her post said, "I'm out here again, starting over," or something like that. So I'm thinking she's still gonna try, still gonna query it. So, and I know a lot of people were kind of mean in their responses. I mean, they're like, "Well, why? You're being stupid. Just self-publish it." But some people just don't. They believe in the the trad publishing. Like, they want to go that route so bad that they won't consider anything else. So,
even though statistically speaking, self-publishers make more money than traditional publishers do. Trad published books can earn anywhere from 5 to 10%, while self-publishing can earn up to 22%, depending on where you go.
yes, but it comes back down to marketing, doesn't
it?
Yes,
it does.
You gotta be able to market yourself.
If you don't market it, you ain't gonna sell anything.
And it's so tough for introverts. I mean,
yep.
It just gives you the heebie-jeebies. You're honestly just like, okay, I did this thing. Go find it, people.
Yep.
It's really cool. But I get the. Talk
about it. I set up my TikTok account like a month and a half ago. No videos.
Yeah.
I don't know what to put on it. So
the TikTok thing.
Every time I see
me up when you said that you started one. Like, come on.
Every time I see
make me feel guilty, and then I'm gonna have to start one.
Well, every time I see the TikTok app on my phone, it makes me cringe. So,
yeah.
But so many authors swear by it. Yeah,
it made me laugh too. That as soon as you set one up, they shut it down.
Yeah.
Like, that's a sign.
I'm always late to the party.
Yeah, so
I did have.
Probably will.
Oh, I had one more thing I wanted to bring up, and I forgot. It has not been a good day. I have forgotten so many things today. Not a clue. Yeah, it was right there. Old age is a fun thing.
That went right at the tip of your brain.
Must have been a lie. Let's see. Diane says, thanks for answering. Self-publishing is becoming more and more attractive to me. If I write something that I'm proud of, I think it would be a shame not to share it with the world. Yeah. Well, that's, like I said earlier, that's when you're self-publishing, you're not, when you're doing the traditional route. Oh, I remember what it was. I just got to remember before. I'm going to lose it. I know it. Anyway, when you're trying to do the traditional route, you have got to please your agent, and then you've got to please the publisher. So you're writing it for an audience of one person, essentially. Because if the agent doesn't like your book for any freaking reason, they're not going to pick it. Same with the publisher. They're looking at it from, can I sell this to make money perspective? I don't care. I want to tell a story. I'm going to tell the story. I want to tell how I want to tell it. That is the number one reason why I'm self-published. Nobody has any creative control over my book other than me.
Yep. Yeah, and so it's interesting to what the publishers think will sell, and they get on these bandwagons of, this is the new latest greatest trend, so we're only going to push these books. So, like, somebody was just writing on Threads the other day about how she talks to young adults all the time, teenagers, and that they are clamoring for and like asking for more contemporary novels, and then like mystery and not suspense kind of stuff, because there is nothing geared for them. That's that. And she's like, and they're sick to death already of romantasy, which is like the new biggest fad. And unfortunately, I mean, that just started not that long ago, and now she's saying, at least according to these teens, they're all sick of it already. I'm like, oh man, that stinks, because that's what the publishers are now pushing like crazy. And so and I said to her, the big thing is how do we like as authors work together to kind of make it like a cool popular thing that, okay, if you're a teen or a kid or whatever, you're looking for books, find indie books first, right? Because you'll have more to choose from, and they're just as good quality and all of that. Like, how do we make that be the norm way of thinking, that instead of, go online and look for like a bestseller or whatever that's a trad published book? Nothing against trad published book, I mean, read those too, but like, give indie publishers a chance, give indie authors a chance. Like, you'll probably surprise yourself. There's tons of really, really good authors out there that are self-producing because it's faster and they keep more rights and they keep more control, and it's fun to get your books out and see them on the shelves, and for me, it's like a pride thing almost, because, you think back to like ye olden times, right? When women especially couldn't publish. Like, they were not allowed to write a book and publish it under their name. So you had all these, authors that would have to, they wrote in secret, and then they published it under a man's name, or had their father bring it down, or their brother or somebody bring it down to the publisher and say, I wrote this book, and they would sign for it or whatever with him, thinking he wrote it, and all the while it's his daughter or his wife or his sister or whatever who actually did the work. But they got none of the glory because they were just not allowed to. And like, now, especially as a woman, I'm like, man, I'm so happy and prideful that I can do this, that I can write and share my stuff with everybody. And I don't need to ask anybody's permission, I don't need to have anybody do it for me.
And nowadays it seems that women dominate the writing industry. Like, I know more women writers than I do male.
Do you? Yeah.
Oh, by far. Yeah, even on social media. Oh. It's like a 4-to-1 ratio.
Wow. Yeah, I'll be interested. I should research it more though to see. So even like into the modern age, supposedly, if you were writing a certain genre book, so say, I don't know, mysteries, probably horror, I think is in this category maybe, and maybe fantasy, and sci-fi I think is the other big one. If you're a woman, supposedly you do better in terms of sales and in terms of getting recognized if you use initials instead of your first name, because people don't know. They see LE, they're not going to know if that's a man or a woman.
Could be Larry Edward.
Right. So supposedly, if you have that anonymity, right, or that question mark of, oh, is this a man or a woman? Especially if you don't put in your bio your author picture.
Yeah.
Then they really don't know. And supposedly, you sell more that way than if you put your feminine first name. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily still the case, but I definitely would. I want to research it, because I know when I was first publishing, that was still the case, and that was back in, that was in what, 2013, I said.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, still 2013, that's still the case, that women don't sell as well unless they use what could be a man's name. Like, really?
That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. And like, supposedly it's, if you're a romance author, you're fine. Like,
oh yeah.
But
that's
Nora Roberts.
Yeah,
like,
that's Nora Roberts, and there's another one that Sam likes.
Right.
I can't remember who.
But like, if you're a woman trying to write a sci-fi book, forget about it. You got to use an initial. So it's just interesting. I don't know.
Okay, before I get to Diane's question here, I did remember finally what I wanted to say.
Okay.
It was somebody. It was about the querying thing. How um, this one, I don't have any idea how many times she's queried agents, but she got to the point where she said that she was just going to shelve it and give up. Like,
Oh, that's sad.
don't do that. Self-publish it. You don't
Yeah.
have to shelve your book.
Yeah. Don't do that.
It was
That's
so
too sad.
sad that people give up so easy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Diane says, "Sorry, I missed what you said. Are you saying that women make more money as authors these days?" Um, my point was that women dominate the market. Not across all genres, but in general, there are far more women writers
There
than
are
there are
more
men.
female
Most of them
authors.
write
Well,
romance.
yeah,
That's
I was
kind
gonna
of
say.
sexist to say. No,
No,
but
but it is unfortunately still the truth though. But I don't know. It's interesting because talk about romance and role reversals, right? Like you look at Nicholas Sparks, he was a huge seller, and
yeah,
obviously dominated as a male romance author, and yet, I mean, the biggest name probably is Nora Roberts, right? And
yeah,
she's
I think so.
obviously female, so it's just
She
interesting. I don't know.
she comes out with a book every 2 months, right?
Yeah,
Oh, she's got a
I
lot.
I was gonna say I kind of wonder if she has ghostwriters that do her work now because she's so huge. You would think can't. I don't know how you could produce a book that fast.
I don't know. I can, if I didn't have clients and didn't have all the other side things that I do, I can outright, word for word, I can outright Stephen King.
Really,
Not going to be the same quality,
yeah,
but I can outproduce him.
yeah. Good for you.
I can
Good
write
for you.
anywhere from 6 to 10,000 words a day.
Dang,
So
that's
if
awesome.
I was to just sit there and write, I could probably crank out a book a month.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I don't
I
know
feel
how
like my
good
brain
it's going to be.
wouldn't. Yeah,
So
I was gonna say I don't think my
remember,
brain could work that fast, honestly.
I didn't say anything about quality, just word for
Yeah.
word.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if you like read it back and just thought, oh man,
What the hell was I
what was
thinking?
this? What
Yep.
was I thinking?
Diana says, I think Laura was saying that women authors don't make as much. Personally, I'm going to put my real name on my work, show my true self. I don't know if you, when you were talking about the sci-fi
Yeah.
women.
So just research it a little more and see if it's still the norm. But I know back when I started, I did a bunch of research on it, and what it was that women were more likely to sell and be successful if they used initials versus their feminine first name, because then people don't know if you're a man or a woman, and they just buy the book because of the cover or the back or whatever they like about it.
Yeah.
But supposedly you had a harder time with certain genres if you used a female first name.
Like
So
I can't think
I
of
don't know if
any.
that's still the case or not, but
I can't think of any women sci-fi authors.
I know. And see, and don't you wonder why?
Ah,
You may
that's a
know
good
why.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some horror authors. I don't know if I know any sci-fi.
I think horror it's more acceptable to be a female author there because of people like
Mary Shelley.
Shirley Jackson and like oh my gosh, lady that did Frankenstein with the hair.
Mary Shelley.
Yes, Mary Shelley. So yeah, people like that paved the way. So I
And women
feel
can be
like that.
dark.
Yeah, like that. Oh man, do you still love watching those shows? The real life murder or whatever shows they
Oh,
are, or is like
most
the
women
the
do.
female specifically specifically the female ones, the female murderers. I used to love that show because it was just so interesting.
Getting some ideas. I'm taking
With
notes.
real women that
That's when
they go
you
through
really want to
stuff.
mess with your husband. You put one of those on the television and sit there with a
Yeah,
notepad like you're taking notes.
yeah, totally.
What are you
Those are
doing?
really
Nothing.
interesting stories of it, though.
I just thought of a recipe. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Diane says, I want
Recipe
to
for
put my.
human parts.
What was that?
Recipe for human parts stew.
Oh, I saw a I saw a really bad recipe book on social media, and I'm not gonna repeat it. Anyway, that it says I want to put my real name on my work at the risk of not selling as much
it's a
As much
struggle,
I want people to know that a woman has these opinions, I write mostly nonfiction.
Oh, okay, yeah. And
So
definitely.
nonfiction, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
There's a lot
nonfiction's
of
probably its own thing. I'm
yeah.
not sure really much about it, but um, yeah, I would say use your real name for that for sure, for that reason.
Well, groovy. It is 8:10, and I'm sure you're probably getting a little on the tired side. I know I am. So I'm gonna leave it up to if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, you can speak now or forever hold your peace. Normally, I have to give it about 30 seconds because YouTube is so slow.
Okay.
Like Twitch, it's almost
Well, they can always find
instantaneous.
me. They can find me on Threads and Instagram and
Yep,
wherever else.
Threads.
Facebook,
On Threads, you are
Discord.
LE Thompson 06,
Mm-hmm.
06, sorry.
Yep, 06 underscore author.
Underscore author, yeah. I missed that part. Or you can just follow me at WriterSanctuary, look at my following list, and you'll see you're on it.
Yes. And you'll see my comments. I comment a lot
Yeah.
on your show, so.
And so don't forget that your newest book, Freaking Unique.
Yeah.
There you go.
2.
Hattie Rattles. How do you say her last name? Ratal?
Yeah, Ratel.
Ratal's story and Amity Boppeden's story. Both of those are on Amazon right now. And the link to Hattie Ratal's story is in the description of the video. You can also, I have you followed. Oh, you know what? I don't know if I have your pen name followed because I never got a notification that you had a new book up. But
Really?
I follow your other author profile, so I don't think I follow
Oh,
Ellie
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Barge,
Yeah,
which
oh,
is that's
yeah,
your.
that is true.
So
I forgot to
keep
say
in
that
mind
these are under
it's
her
under
maiden name.
her maiden name is L.E. LaBarge. Barge?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
LaBarge, yeah.
LaBarge. She does have both author profiles on Amazon.
Do.
So that's probably why I didn't get a notification. Because I follow Ellie Thompson or Laura E. Thompson.
Yep. Yep.
Not to be confused with Laura Thompson, who is an actual author on Amazon as well.
Yeah.
So
There are a lot of us.
make that distinction. Laura E. Thompson.
Yeah.
Anyway, her book is in
Yeah,
the
and I was
description down
just gonna
below.
say too, real quick about this series
Oh,
that
yeah, sure.
I mean, I think so. I read, talked to my son's 4th grade class, and they're about 10 years old. So I would say anyone from 10, 11 on up. But definitely that middle school range. That's where these books like start, and where they take place, and then into high school and stuff. So like that age group, if you know anybody that has teens that age that are definitely feeling like if they're struggling or feeling like an outsider for any reason, hopefully these books will help.
Yeah, I think that is such an awesome thing that you're doing. And I hope that even if it just helps one person, to me that would be like worth it. I do a
Well,
lot of
that's
that stuff like
honestly,
that. So.
I mean, I was really pleased because when I spoke to my son's class, I didn't know going in about it, but I was talking to them, all the 4th grade classes in his school, and the last one, which he was in, this little boy was talking about my fantasy books, and then I said, I had brought this one, and I was like, oh yeah, and I wrote this other series about me, and this book's about me having epilepsy when I was a kid, and he's sitting on the floor, he tugs at my pant leg, and I look over, and he's like, I have epilepsy too. I said, you do? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, well, there you go. I said, maybe my story will hit home with you or whatever. And so then at the end of the thing, he says, is there a way I could get a copy of your book somehow? And I'm like, yeah. Signed it. Here you go. And I gave it to him. And because I was like, well, yeah, like your parents could find it. And I was like, no. Nope.
Yeah.
Here you go. Signed for you.
That's, if you got it, you might as well, make
Exactly.
someone smile.
So I was asking my son if he's read it, and he said, yeah, he's in the process of reading it now. And then he said to me, Mom, that I forget his name honestly, but so and so in my class that has epilepsy. I said, yeah. He's like, yeah, he had a seizure in class the other day. I was like, oh no, that's too bad. And was he okay? And blah blah blah. We talked about it. And I told him I said, you make sure, because especially coming back into school, I'm sure he's going to feel like, I always felt this way, that people are going to be scared. You know, they were scared by the incident. They're going to be scared of him. They're not necessarily going to want him around. You know, he may feel like, oh, people don't want to be friends with me now because they've seen this and now they're scared of me. And Will said, oh, no, I don't feel that way. I'll tell him I don't feel that way. I'm not scared of him. It was a scary thing to see, but I still like him. I still want to be friends with him. I'm like, then tell him that, though, because he's going to need to know.
Yeah.
You know, these are the things that are going to be going on in his head. So
I was friends with a lot of.
So it was just.
I was friends with a lot of those freaks in school. I liked everybody. It doesn't really matter.
Yep. Yeah.
I never.
But they don't always know it, you know. So it's important to say those things.
Yeah. Well, anywho, I guess we can wrap this up. Neil says that I was lurking in the shadows, but I was here. She is a woman of many names.
I am, yes.
You also, I might as well plug your guys' services again if you'd like. Can't remember which website. WritingServices.com?
Yeah, it's just Writer's Journey Services.
Writer's Journey Services. I missed it. And you help people with setting up their. I mean, you guys do the whole thing, right?
So we don't publish. We're not a vanity publisher. So
no,
we
just
do the entire editing process, and then we do cover art, we do back blurb stuff, we do, so many other things, websites, like all kinds of stuff. But we don't actually hit the publish button for you. We'll help you through it. You know, we'll guide you through it if you want. Can answer any questions and all of that.
Cool.
But we don't actually do that part just because that kind of puts you in that category of being a publisher, or people getting confused with vanity publishing, and we want none of that. So
yeah, nobody does. Well, I guess there's people out there that do, but I don't.
Right. So it's writers-journey.com.
There you go. And yeah, so don't forget, check out her book. It's in the description down below. She's got another one coming out in May. Always a pleasure having you on. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it.
Kind of makes me feel bad. Like, please tell me the people in your books have a happy ending.
Oh, they do.
All right.
Yeah. They learn to love themselves and be okay with who they are, and it's awesome.
Because I'm like, because when you start talking about suicide, I'm like, oh, don't tell me the main character kills himself.
Oh no.
That would just no.
No, I don't want to give away the end, but his ending is particularly sweet. I like it a lot.
All righty.
So, yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna hold you to that. Real fast. What does it mean to be a vanity publisher? Do you want? You can answer that, or I could.
Yeah. So, I mean,
the vanity publishers. Yeah.
Too, but
essentially, vanity publishing.
Vanity publishers basically, they'll have you pay them to create your book for you. So they supposedly do all the editing and stuff, and then the cover art and all that, and then they publish it under their name, but then you keep the rights, right? But then they get
it depends. Tate Publishing was a vanity publisher, and for Angela, they did her editing. They got her the book cover. They did a YouTube video commercial, which actually wasn't too bad, and but she didn't hold her rights to her book. She had to fight to get the rights back after they went under. So you gotta be careful with the vanity publishers. Essentially, it's just glorified logo on your book. And it can cost thousands of dollars, or not just a couple of thousand, many thousands.
Yeah, that's the big distinction, is that typically their work is subpar. You know, they're not going to put out a quality product, and then you're going to pay thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate.
So I know that whoever edited her book, I don't know what he was smoking, but it was jacked up. When I read through it, I'm like, this is what I'm a editor by day for Green Gates, and so when I go through a book, I'm fairly good at editing. And when I went over hers, that was that they submitted I'm like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, same.
So
Yep.
I won't do vanity publishers. Anywho, I guess we can wrap this up. Thank you for being on the show. Always a pleasure,
Yeah,
and hope to have you on again.
thanks, definitely. See
You're
you
welcome.
soon.
See ya. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye. And then see if I can do this right. Ha, I did. Wow. Oh, all I did was leave. Sweet. Anywho, that was awfully fun. I love having Laura on the show. Don't forget that her book is on Amazon. And now we can do our card. Last week's card was Today I will breathe. Today, as I face challenges, I will call a mental timeout. I will consciously breathe with my eyes closed and focus on slowing my inhalation and exhalation. Essentially, meditating. Hooray, now we can be misbehaving. I wouldn't necessarily call it misbehaving. We can let our hair down. I always try to be good when I have guests in my house. Okay, so this week's daily affirmation card is Today I am powerful. Today I know that I have the power and wisdom to accomplish everything I choose to do. I have the power. Great, that song's gonna be stuck in my head the rest of the night. Turtle power. I can do that one too. So that'll be our card. Again, today I am powerful. Today I know that I have the power and wisdom to accomplish everything I choose to do. It kind of almost sounds like the AA thing. The prayer that they do. Wisdom to know the difference. I don't know. I got the power. Yeah, I got the power. I got the power. I'm gonna have to play that now later. It's gonna be stuck in my head. Anywho, I guess we can wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. It was a lot of fun having Laura on, and next week is just me. I don't know if Sam's gonna be here, but I'm trying to get Jess on for the 22nd. So that's who we were talking about earlier. Oh, I forgot to remind Laura to bug Jess. I guess I can send another message. I kind of like to know what I'm writing next week. So, did you see the solar eclipse today, Michael? No, I forgot to get glasses. I did watch it on YouTube. NASA had their live feed from the different cities. It was really cool. I did steal one of the images for crossing Colorado today. But see, I went outside and I was getting coffee, and I noticed it's getting darker. I'm like, oh shit. So I walk out, and yeah, it's a little bit dimmer. We didn't get a lot of darkness here in Colorado. Is mostly centered towards the further east, but it did dim. The light did dim here, so I did watch it on in 2017 when I came home from LA. I even had special glasses. I laid out in a chair and stared at the sun because I had those special glasses. I even got pictures of it. I took pictures. I didn't have a lens for my didn't have a lens for my camera, so I took the glasses and put it over the lens and took the picture. Came out decent. I didn't want to ruin my camera. Anywho, alrighty. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns before we wrap this up? Don't forget that A Freelancer's Tale and Kingmaker are both available on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble. No, A Freelancer's Tale is on Barnes & Noble. I haven't fixed my Barnes & Noble account yet. I want to get Kingmaker up on it. Link is in the description down below. A Freelancer's Tale is how I got started writing all the way to what I do today. And Kingmaker is my debut novel into dark fantasy. So I did not watch it. Yeah, it was very dark around 3 p.m. today. I looked like nighttime over here in Ohio. Yeah, I bet. I saw a couple of memes that eclipse or not, there's no reason to go to Ohio. I actually know quite a few successful people in Ohio, so I would probably never go. It's Ohio. It's like Arkansas. No, Arkansas's worse. Oh, great. Now we got a banana playing with a banana. Anywho, I guess I'm going to wrap this up. So, yeah. I don't know where I was going with everything. My mind has been mush on that. I am so glad that Laura was able to talk as much as she did because I have no idea where I was going. I'm so tired. I tried so hard. Ohio was getting more popular. I saw it. It was cool. Awesome. Yeah, I saw it live on YouTube. It misses something in it if you don't when you're not seeing it when you're watching it on the screen as opposed to being out and doing it yourself. Like in 2017, we didn't have I didn't have totality in Westminster, Colorado, and it was still pretty cool to watch it to actually see the partial eclipse happen. So nice, Diana. And yet you have been to Arkansas, yeah, but I don't. And why did I go to Arkansas? It wasn't sure as fuck wasn't going to go on vacation. It'll be back in another 20 years. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably be dead by then. You're going to thank everyone for coming by. Yes, thank you very much for coming by. That it helped me out. I had momentum and it just fell apart. Everyone in the city was looking up at the sky. I felt like the end of the world was something. All right. If you would listen to any of the conspiracy theories that were out there, we were supposed to be going through the rapture. I mean, there was an earthquake right before an eclipse. Do you know what else causes earthquakes before an eclipse? Fault lines moving. We have earthquakes every fucking day. God, I hate people. Well, I hate the conspiracy theorist people. Sam's yelling. I have no idea what she's yelling. So there were hundreds of students on the quad all watching it. Yeah, I was out my back porch in 2017. This year, I just went outside, fed the squirrels, realized it was getting a little bit darker. Couldn't find my glasses from back then, so I came back in and decided to work. So it's a work day. Anywho, don't forget next week, I'll come up with a topic for next week, and then hopefully Jess will be on the 22nd. I've got so many authors that are going to be lined up. So, and a little bit of a surprise, Megan Grant is going to be coming back on the show. She'll be on sometime in April, May. Ooh, probably June. But Megan Grant will be coming back on, and we'll be talking about how she transitioned from freelance writing to doing the different things she's doing now. Yeah. So for those of you who have hung around me for the past several years, you know that Megan Grant is awesome. And we both started off as freelance writers. She went one way, I started a different, and we both wound up in almost the exact same spot. So just goes to show that you can take different paths to get the same destination. Michael, the Bible says that no one knows when the world will end, so I agree that these people are crazy. Yeah. I'm not yelling. I am in bed and have been since 6. Who the fuck was I just here? I swear I heard you yelling. You know what that means? It is time for me to go to bed. You'll be a great grandpa drinking peanut butter whiskey, right? I gotta be a grandparent. My kids would have to have there. Megan is awesome. Yeah, I'd love Megan. She'll be on the show. She sent me her information and stuff so I can make the blog post and thumbnail for the video. So, but I think I've got 3 authors before her, including Jess. So Megan might be the first week of June. Unless somebody drops out. Nope, sick as hell here. Oh, bummer. Leave me alone. Don't get anywhere near me. I don't want any sickness. Keep it to yourself. Anywho, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. It was a lot of fun. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. My outro fell apart. Anywho, thank y'all for watching, and I will see you. Oh, don't forget, Sam and I might be on Crossing Colorado tomorrow night for our Crossing Colorado podcast. And I will be on tomorrow for the writing sprint. I really like doing those. And don't forget, that'll be at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. So a.m., not p.m., a.m. So I'll be writing my book tomorrow morning. I can see Michael ranting at 80 years old. Oh, that's ambitious. Assuming I'm going to live that long. Look at you with a whole handful of hope. Anyway, have a good one, and I'll see you guys next, hopefully tomorrow. Holy crap, I've been on for almost an hour and 40 minutes.